The following podcast by Fusion Family Wealth, LLC, Fusion, is intended for general information purposes only. No portion of the podcast serves as the receipt of or as a substitute for personalized investment advice from Fusion or any other investment professional of your choosing. Please see additional important disclosure at the end of this podcast. A copy of Fusion's current written disclosure brochure discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request or at www.fusionfamilywealth.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Crazy Wealthy podcast, the Fix It Friday edition. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that relates to the heart of what every advisor in modern practice is moving toward, at least as I see what's happening in industry migration from brokerage firms like UBS and Merrill Lynch to independents. And what I'm talking about is the fiduciary standard of care, being required to, by law, resolve any potential conflicts in your client's best interests and to always act in your client's best interest. So that's traditional fiduciary standard defined. But today I'm going to talk about what I call the missing half of fiduciary advice. So again, welcome back to Fix It Friday, and let's get right into it.
Welcome to the Crazy Wealthy Podcast with your host, Jonathan Blau. Whether you're just starting out or are an experienced investor, join Jonathan as he seeks to illuminate and demystify the complexities of making consistently rational financial decisions under conditions of uncertainty. He'll chat with professionals from the advice world, entrepreneurs, executives, and more to share fresh perspectives on making sound decisions that maximize your wealth. And now, here's your host.
I want to share an idea, just to repeat a little bit of what I said at the introduction, that sits at the heart of how we think about wealth management here at Fusion. Most fiduciary advisors would say that their job is simply to act in their client's best interest, and they'd be very right. Frankly, that's a given. It's what every client should expect, but I've always felt that's only half the job. The other half, and arguably the harder half, is helping our clients consistently act in their own best interest. Think about it. I can recommend a great financial plan. I can build a thoughtful portfolio. I can help minimize taxes and improve estate planning. But none of that matters at all if a client abandons the plan at precisely the wrong time. If fear causes you to sell during a bear market, if greed convinces you to chase the latest hot investment, if uncertainty pushes you into making short-term decisions that hurt long-term goals, then even a great plan can fail. Not because the plan was wrong, but because we're human, and that's really the issue. Most financial mistakes aren't intelligence problems, they're behavior problems. In fact, when we're stressed, scared, or overly confident, what feels right emotionally is often exactly the wrong thing financially. That's why I've often said that the biggest risk to most financial plans isn't inflation, taxes, interest rates, or even market volatility. Although fear of volatility is a very real risk, the biggest risk to most financial plans is often the person looking back at us in the mirror. Not because we're broken, but because we're human. The market goes down and our instincts scream, do something. This is just what I call the action bias. In real life, when we sense danger, our instincts scream, don't just stand there, do something. To succeed as investors, we need to flip that script and say, don't just do something, stand there. We're wired for survival, not for successful investing. The market goes up and everyone seems to be getting rich on the next big thing. And our instincts scream, don't miss out. Neither reaction is unusual. They're completely normal. The problem is that normal human behavior often leads to abnormal investment mistakes. That's why we spend so much time focusing on behavior. At Fusion, we're not trying to predict the future. We're trying to help people make better decisions while living through an uncertain future. And if I had to boil that down into a few behavioral reminders, this is what they would be. Have a plan before emotions show up. Focus on your goals, not the headlines. Don't let temporary feelings drive permanent long-term decisions. Recognize that uncertainty isn't a bug in investing, it's a feature. Remember that some of the best investment decisions you'll ever make involve doing nothing at all. And replace a focus on predicting with a focus on preparedness. The truth is that protecting and growing wealth is rarely about finding the perfect investment. It's usually about having the discipline to stick with a good plan when it's hardest to do so. And that's why I believe the highest form of fiduciary advice isn't simply acting in the client's best interest. It's developing the skills and approach to be able to help clients develop the temperament to consistently act in their own best interest. Because in the end, investment success is often less about what you own and more about how you behave, less about what you know and more about what you do. Wishing everybody a great weekend, and remember, the person most capable of creating your wealth is you. The person most capable of sabotaging it once you've created it is also you. Our job is to help you stay on the right side of that equation. As legendary investor and mentor to Warren Buffett, Benjamin Graham said, the investor's chief problem, and even his worst enemy, is likely to be himself. Thanks again for tuning in to Fix It Friday, and we'll talk to you next time. But until then, you can find us on crazywealthypodcast.com website, fusionfamilywealth.com website, and all of your favorite podcast venues.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Crazy Wealthy Podcast. For more insights, resources, and to sign up for our newsletter, visit crazywealthypodcast.com. Until then, stay crazy wealthy.
The previous podcast by Fusion Family Wealth, LLC, Fusion, was intended for general information purposes only. No portion of the podcast serves as the receipt of or as a substitute for personalized investment advice from Fusion or any other investment professional of your choosing. Different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk, and it should not be assumed that future performance of any specific investment or investment strategy, or any non-investment related or planning services, discussion, or content will be profitable, be suitable for your portfolio or individual situation. Neither Fusion's investment advisor registration status, nor any amount of prior experience or success should be construed that a certain level of results or satisfaction will be achieved if Fusion is engaged or continues to be engaged to provide investment advisory services. Fusion is neither a law firm nor accounting firm, and no portion of its services should be construed as legal or accounting advice. No portion of the video content should be construed by a client or prospective client as a guarantee that he or she will experience a certain level of results if Fusion is engaged or continues to be engaged to provide investment advisory services. A copy of Fusion's current written disclosure brochure discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request or at www.fusionfamilywealth.com.